Hi guys, my name is Kaylee Miller and I'm going to talk about our module this week about professional developments. My best professional development experience was when I worked in Gwinnett County in Georgia, and I had the opportunity to be a part of a professional development that took place over a period of time. It was basically an entire semester where we worked on um, this entire professional development, and it was on the topic of balanced numeracy and balanced literacy. So we had one day over a month. It was the entire day. So we would have a sub come in into our class to take over our class for the day, and then we would be in this professional development for the entire day. And it was two teachers from each grade level team that did this. The professional development was put on by a math specialist from the county and a reading specialist from the county. And each day, it was half the day was focused on balanced literacy and half of the day was focused on balanced numeracy. It basically, let me see, check my notes here. So what I really connected with in our readings for this professional development experience was Effective Teacher Professional Development by Hammond and Gardner. And there were a couple of points that they made that really reminded me of this professional development experience that I had. So the first one was using models of effective practice. So we saw many examples of lesson plans and models that showed us what balanced literacy and numeracy would look like. And we saw that in the early stages of our professional development. There was also work samples that were included in this. So the teachers showed us examples of content and good lessons, and then we also would take back what we learned into our classrooms, and then later on we would take a look at our own students' work samples. So that was always really interesting to work with our own class in this experience. The next point from this article that really stood out to me was they provided coaching and expert support. So the specialist observed us and in our own classrooms after we learned about this, and then gave us feedback on what we were doing in our classroom. So they coached us on what to do, they gave us examples, they showed us what it would look like, and then they came and watched us in our own class and provided us with feedback. And that was the next one, offers feedback and reflection. So once we did get to implement it ourselves, we got feedback from the specialist. So that was really, really helpful and really insightful. And then the last point on this from this article was it was sustained in duration, and this definitely was because it lasted over an entire semester. We had multiple opportunities to meet and to learn about this, and it really built upon each other. So we started out kind of learning the basics where just the content, what is balanced literacy, what is balanced numeracy, and examples. And then we got to actually observe these specialists within another class doing in action what they were teaching us. And then we did it in our class, and they watched us do it and gave us feedback based on how we were doing it. And the last thing about this professional development that really, I think, drove home my understanding of what was being taught at this professional development was we took it. So the two teachers that were chosen to to attend this professional development then took what they learned, created their own presentation, and took it back to our grade level teams. So after I learned everything, I then had to summarize it and gather resources and things like that, and then teach the rest of my team. And I think that's really what drove home my understanding of these components in this experience. And it kind of made me feel like somewhat of an expert. So that was my best professional development. My worst professional development was on curriculum when I taught in preschool. And honestly, this sounds really bad, but I don't even remember the name of that curriculum. That's how great this professional development was. This was about 2 years ago. And this professional development lasted for half a day, so maybe like 3 or 4 hours was the total duration of this professional development. And it was basically just someone standing in front of us, lecturing, reading from a PowerPoint slide, and it was not engaging. And I really did not get a lot out of it. So kind of one thing from a different article in our readings this week that stood out to me was the NCTE article, Shifting from Professional Development to Professional Learning, Centered Teacher Empowerment. So they kind of discussed the approach of viewing professional development as professional learning and really valuing the agency of educators through collaborative learning and collaborative knowledge production. And this is just something that did not happen in my bad experience. And we definitely weren't treated like learners. We were just being talked at rather than being engaged in the process, in the whole learning process. So I thought that was really interesting. And another quote that kind of stood out to me from this same article was, most dread going to PD in preparation for speakers who, while often far removed from classrooms, tell us how to teach or how to implement a newly purchased mandated curriculum or assessment program, far from being a true learning experience. So when I read that, I was like, yes, this is exactly what this professional development was, and that is exactly how I felt the whole time. So big differences in my best professional development and my worst professional development. And I think it's pretty clear that just being engaged in the learning process ourselves really was such a huge factor in the differences. So then to go on and talk about what I would do if I could teach a professional development for my colleagues, I would love to do one on effective strategies for English language learning students. So I am currently an ESOL teacher, and I think it would be really beneficial to give some of the teachers at my school some professional development on effective strategies to better assist English language learners within their classrooms. And some things that I definitely would make sure I incorporated was making this a true learning experience for the teachers and not just a presentation where I'm standing in front of them and talking to them. I would want to give a lot of videos and examples on how to implement strategies. I also want to include opportunities for teachers to collaborate with each other and to work together with some hands-on activities so that they're engaged through this process. And I would also hope to be able to do this professional development over a period of time. I feel like when, we have an hour professional development or a couple hour professional development, sometimes we do get a lot out of them, but when it's sustained over a period of time, we get so much more out of it. So I think that's really critical, where you can really have that time to build upon it and to implement it and then reflect upon how it's going in your class. So really just being able to engage everyone in the learning process in my professional development, I think that is most critical. So this was a really interesting module we had, and professional development, I think, is always kind of a hot topic and a controversial topic. So it was very interesting to talk about this and read about it.